Hi, good afternoon, everyone, in South Africa, wherever you are. I'm very glad for you to join us this session as we talk about Fedgroup participation bond. And I'd like to thank you for jumping in. But if you are not able to join us live, this session is also recorded. We go live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and the Facebook page. And today I have a guest that's joined me for this collaboration as we talk about Fedgroup secured investment. And my special guest is Tony Paulo. Last year, I had a session again, also interviewing him, and I recorded that session afterwards, then published on YouTube, and that has been receiving views on a weekly, monthly basis. It shows that people are interested in high interest investment, which can provide for income or growth over the 5-year period. So, Tony, how are you this afternoon, this Friday afternoon?
Uncle Kevin, as they say, as they call you. Thank you for inviting us again. I'm Tony Paulo. I've been with Fedgroup just over 13 years. I joined them in February 2009 after a stint of 24 years being an agent at one of the life offices in South Africa as well as a broker.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful day out there. I can't see the outside like you can, but it's beautiful. It's a Friday. We're all ready for the lovely weekend coming up, and also right now about the
Yeah.
wonderful topic of participation mortgage bonds, stroke secured investments. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So I've known Tony for many years, and I can commend him for being a very focused person. He knows his um, subject very well around Fedgroup and all the Fedgroup products, the secured investment participation bond, and over the years we have talked about what the product can do for investors, and some of the investors have benefited greatly from this investment, because it doesn't matter whether whether the market is up and down and volatile, etc., but it just continue to give the investor that steady interest income, that especially for clients who are conservative, clients that are retired, or clients that rely on that steady income month after month for their living. And just quickly, just to remind everyone about what Fedgroup participation bond or secured investment is about. It's a 5-year investment, and it's what Fedgroup does is that it takes investors' money, then lend it to commercial property investors, and in return, that property is secured against the loan, and also then charge interest for that loan, and then Fedgroup manage that, and then pay the investor the interest that he receives. So it's a very simple structure. If you think about like the banks, when the bank lends out the money to invest to property owners, and then collect interest on the loans. So it's a similar kind of a structure. And so the Fedgroup secured investment is only starts as little as 5,000 rand. I mean, I still can't believe it. Like Tony told me that many years ago it was the minimum for investment amount, and after so many years, still 5,000 rand. So it's so affordable. So it doesn't matter whether you are a young investor just starting out, you want to just put that 5,000 rand away, or if you are a millionaire and you want to put your retirement savings into this product and enjoy the high interest rate, that high yield. And certainly this is a very attractive investment proposition. But today we are going to focus on another aspect of Fedgroup secured investment. Over the last 2-3 months, I started to receive certain notification on behalf of investors in terms of Fedgroup notifying investor that their investment is about to mature in a few months' time, and which I then communicate to the investors. So that's why I asked Tony to join us and on this live session. And thanks, Tony. You know, as I start to continue to learn about new ways of engaging with audience and with the product providers. And I thank you for also learning with me about using this medium to live stream to the audience. So Tony, can you just explain to us, okay, when the investor or the investor advisor receive such notification about that their Fedgroup investment, secured investment, that is the term is 5 years. So 3 or 4 months before it's about to mature, then there's a letter that comes through. Can you just take us through that? What does it mean for the investor?
Wonderful. Yes, Kevin, certainly. As you know, being a 5-year structure, where the difficulty could come up is that neither the client or the broker, the intermediary that gave us the business on behalf of his client, knows about this particular maturity. You know, a 5-year fixed deposit has certain elements that must be adhered to. It will have a starting date, and then the finishing date happens to be 60 months down the road. But what we do, and with compliance with the collective investments and all the other regulation that we have to adhere to, we notify the broker alongside with his or her client or its client 3 months, and sometimes almost 4 months, but at least 3 months prior to that date. I hope you can see what I see on a screen there, Kevin.
Yeah, let's go through that, even though what I see is rather small, but please take us through the content of this letter.
Okay, lovely. Do you want me to increase it? How do I, because I'm used to Zoom or the opposition to this particular media, and this media is...
No problem. Maybe, Tony, what you can do, you know, on the top, it's got a plus, you know, that circle with a plus. Maybe you can click on that, maybe to magnify it. You know, it's kind of a magnifying glass on the top, you know, the top bar, top menu. Yeah, that's where is...
yeah, I just can't seem to have access to it. But
no problem. Then just maybe just walk us through this.
Lovely.
This
okay,
letter,
so
what this says, yeah.
So this letter would obviously alert the client. It will have certain key dates. One of them is the letter date, which is the 28th of March at the top of the page.
So I can see on the top right. Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll have the clients. Of course, we have to address the investor, the stroke participant, and also alert the investor. Most times, 99 out of 100 times, the broker, the financial advisor, is still the same. But we advise from March to July, you'll see 3 to 7. There's actually a little bit more than 3 months, or they're very close to 4 months. We pre-warn the client that his or hers or its participation bond is about to mature. Right. That is very important to us. It's a key element of our compliance and our obligation as a product provider. And also the broker gets alerted. So hopefully they will get together and they will resolve the matter, which is, what are we going to do next?
Yeah.
And my experience in the past, even prior to joining Fedgroup in 2009, was if it was right, if it was about the best option at that date 5 years ago, it's possibly going to be amongst the best options, if not still the best option. So we hope to retain the lump sum and continue this lovely 5-year relationship that we've had with the client and the broker regarding this particular investment. So there's some key elements there. Obviously, besides the name, it goes straight into the paragraphs. You'll see there's a P0 number. I've hidden the number on purpose because it belongs to a certain client of Kevin. And it says that it will mature on the 24th of July. That date is important. I would suggest, like I do, I actually put that on a spreadsheet, and I'm sure the broker does similar, or in your diary or Outlook or something, so that, and put it 3 months prior to that date to start talking to the broker, because we need notification via one of our the change request form, application form, that
Okay.
things are about to change for another 5 years.
Right.
And obviously, either be it the client was receiving income or just growing the money or getting some, let's say the income, for example, could be 10,000 Rand a month, the potential, but the client only needed 5. So we just want to know the broker to tell us via that application that the client's instructions are these: either to take out the money or write down to reinvest the money, even change the owner of the deposit. There's many things that can be done. But we'll go in the next slide, which will be the form. But right now, what we can look at is the look and feel of that letter. So all parties have been notified. There's a date of that notification at the top and when things will change. Now, the important thing to take into account, if for some unknown reason, it doesn't happen often, maybe 1 out of 1,000 times, that the client does not, or the broker has no contact with us, something has happened. The money doesn't continue at that rate. It stops being serviced by the rate, which is very good usually, a very high rate, a nice yield comparable to what's available at the banks. And we usually want number 1 or number 2 anyway. So it'll go down to our matured rate, which at this point in time I think it's just changed to 5%. So the client could have been getting 9, 9.5, 8, 8.5, and that could affect the monthly income. That's why we implore the broker and the client to look at that letter quite seriously, because that is basically the first point of contact for the next 5 years arrangement. And as things are right now, the rates are favorable. Likelihood is they are higher than they were 5 years ago, or thereabouts. They're slightly higher, perhaps 0.5% higher. And action must be taken. That is just alerting the investor and the broker, please take action. And it's got to be 3 months before that 24th of July.
All right. So that's that. Let's now go into the second question. So what are the reinvestment options? Just now, I think that when you were talking about what does this letter mean, you did talk about some options. So can you just run us through once the client or the broker receives this letter and advise the client accordingly, what are the options available to the client?
Okay. The client can withdraw the capital with no liability on tax or anything, because the tax would have been the IT3Bs would have been served every tax year for those 5 years. So that arrangement is fine. So if a client puts in, for example, that amount, 758, which looks to be, let's consider that amount gets paid out, there's no tax implication.
Right.
That is obviously the option that we don't see it often coming. Sometimes the client says, okay, give me the 58 because I need to settle a few things and reinvest the 700. But most times it's in this case.
So Tony, that a couple of things to clarify here is that whatever the mature amount, you are going to, if the client choose to withdraw, then you're going to pay that amount into the client's bank account without deducting any tax, right? That's point number 1. Okay, and number 2 is that actually the investor has the option to withdraw partially. So the investor say, okay, now let me just withdraw the interest I've earned and leave the capital to continue. That's possible. So the investor doesn't, if there's any need, doesn't have to withdraw the full amount, but rather can withdraw partially.
100%. Often a financial advisor like yourself would sit down with the client, look at some of the liabilities built up in the last 5 years. If there are some, like credit cards and so on, it's very popular to get it done. Settle those things, start afresh, and it's wonderful. On the understanding that if you were earning an income from the 758, 700, hopefully the rate will be up enough to sort of offset that. But all that must be done within 3 months. So
Right.
it's very important to receive the next PDF, the change request application form. Very important to receive well before the 24th of July. Hopefully, sometime before the 28th of March and the 28th or the 24th of March, April. Somewhere between there, there's like 3-4 weeks that the intermediary can discuss options for the client. And and we look forward to welcome the client, whatever the client's decision is. Whatever the client's
Okay. So
decision.
now let's talk about the second option. So the second option, because you talked about the first option is to withdraw, then the second
Right.
option is to reinvest for another 5 years. Is that correct?
Correct, 100%. Yeah.
And what rate would the client receive in terms of interest for the next 5 years?
Okay. As you know, our interest rates, although not directly linked to the prime lending rates and the bankers' acceptances rates and so on,
Okay.
not quite that linked. But remember, we lenders. So the
Yes.
book of, 5.4, 5.5 billion,
Yeah.
currently that lends those investors money as a book. It's not like one property versus a deposit. It's not what other different product does, which doesn't exist in this country anymore. This is a book that lends to a book of properties.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's quite restricted. As you know, we can only lend 75%. So immediately there's 25% equity stroke security onto the client's investments. So we just, when it comes to investing, the interest rate is applicable to the rates available on that 60th month or thereabouts. Okay, so if the rates are now on a slight increase pattern, it's likelihood that it is that the client will like the rate. If the rates are on an opposite curve going down, if we get asked to please stand firm on a rate which is higher now going down, obviously our bond manager will consider, and the broker will have that confirmed in writing. So the client never doesn't just think that it's going to get a rate. He or she knows the rate, at least what they're going to get. So there's a bit of security on that. There's peace of mind. The client. So right now our rates are around the 9%. For larger amounts, it can go a little bit higher, but these are very large amounts. In 5-10 million, that type of thing. We obviously negotiate. The broker negotiates on behalf of the client.
Yeah.
But I think 9% now, that's what the client would get. And if the rates go up, is up to the broker and the client to come back to us, says, listen, you've had a slight rate increase. What about considering my investment coming up in July to benefit from that rate? We can, we're not children. We would say yes or no. And we'll always consider a request from a supporting broker like yourself. A supporting broker has a lot more chance to get a higher rate than a broker that just gives us a client every second year. We'll just stick to what is available at the time. But a supporting broker has a lot of power with us. Yeah.
All right. So the second option is to reinvest. And earlier on, you talked about matures and different mature rates. So if the client doesn't exercise the option or didn't indicate to reinvest, then what I understand from your earlier discussion is that then the money will move into the matured pool. Is that right? And where earlier you say it's going to, the interest rate will be down to 5%. So then what happens in that case?
So obviously something went wrong in the communication to the client and to the broker and between the broker and the client. We will, in those 3 months prior to that particular date, the 24th of July, for example, we'll do our utmost to be in touch with the broker first and alert. And the broker, something could have happened to the broker. We're not eternal. And some people do leave, sell, that type of thing. And we'll do our very best to know who actually holds this, the license of advice to this client. So we'll contact the broker. If we can't, out of desperation, we'll then do all efforts to contact the client prior to that 24th of July, at which time, we'll obviously find out what happened. The broker could have passed, and maybe there's nobody attending to that client's investment. And we would definitely give the inside lane to whoever is prepared or has shown their hand that they like our product as part of their advice. So that's just a different formula. But we'll then assist the client immediately because we understand there's no fun.
Tony, I think I just want to get to the point about where it matures, because like my experience over the last 2-3 months communicating with clients, at times it will be the client side, because we could send the client email followed by telephone call, but then the client maybe as a busy business owner and running the factory or running the business all day, and just think this is something that he can do later, so we could be waiting a month or two, and the client hasn't made a decision or didn't send us the relevant documents. That happens. I think that for all the brokers, that's a possible situation. So I think it's not about the broker, but also it can also be the client. Maybe the client is still thinking about the future planning, the scenario. But so as a result, it falls into the matured pool. So when it falls into the mature pool, then now suddenly the clients wake up and decide, okay, I need to do something with it, and the client decide to withdraw. Then can the client withdraw at any time when it's already moved into the mature pool, and what would be the turnaround time for the withdrawal?
Kevin, those are excellent questions and scenarios. So when the product reaches 60 months plus 1 day, the next interest, and no action has been taken from no party, and we can't find anybody, but we would find, usually, if we're paying interest into a bank account, we'll then through our proper channels, through proper legal channel, whatever channels, we will contact the client. We'll even through the bank. We've been paying into this bank account for 5 years, this amount. There's a danger that the client's going to get a lot less. Please contact your client to contact us, that type of thing. So it's not happened many times. Going into the matured rate, it means that there's been some negligence somewhere. On our side, we will make all the effort possible to first contact the intermediary, alert the intermediary about the 3 months prior to maturity. Now, when the product, let's say everybody wakes up at 1 month to go, we'll look at each case on its own merit. As I said, if the client is earning interest, we understand the urgency of the interest, and we will try to either waive those 2 months that are causing the trouble, because for all intents and purposes, and as per the collective investments and the legislation, which I just access it now, and I'm going to read it. Is that okay? I'll just read one paragraph.
Sure.
Yeah. Please note that your investment is a fixed investment, which is governed under the Collective Investment Schemes Act Control Act, number 45 of 2002, and specifically provides in Section 58 for a minimum investment period of 5 years. So that's where the 60 months comes in. The manager will consider an early withdrawal request should you find yourself in a severe financial situation or medical. Now, that just goes into what has been, what we can do for the client. I'm going to minimize that. I just wanted to alert your clients, your viewers, that this is a highly restricted and controlled product. So the 3 months is what the CIS allows us to apply. But I don't think in the case of a client of yours, I doubt if any client is going to be between the 3 months and 2 months. And we will definitely most likely waive any further time past the 60 months to assist your process. But we could enforce this if we hear nothing. By the 60 months and 1 day, we could apply a 3 months waiting period. So what should have happened 3 months prior can only happen 3 months' time. And we are fully entitled. The laws say so. Means that there's been a total block out of correspondence or return correspondence to us. But that does not happen a lot. Usually most action gets taken around 3 months and a week, 3 months less a week. And we're just business as usual. It will mature at the proper date. The action will be taken as the broker and the client have decided. I mean, we understand. I mean, it's a fast world. It's a busy world. People are trying to earn a living. We just want to assist the participant as easy as possible to make a decision.
Right. So, Tony, based on what you say, you really mean that the waiting period is 3 months. So the client has to give notification, then that will be a 3-month waiting period, after which then the investment is paid out to the client if he chooses to withdraw.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I think, Tony, then let's move on to the next. So once the investor received that notification about maturity, and also with the assistance of the broker, and the broker explained to him or her about the options available to that person, then what does the investor have to do at that point in time?
Okay. I've just gone to that other second tab.
Right. Let me just see if I can. Right. Okay. Just bring that
that
into
font
the.
is smaller. Yeah. That font is smaller. Okay. I don't know how do I take my picture on the left away. I'm enjoying this system. Really, it's wonderful. Okay. So around the 3 months to go, plus maybe a week or 2 or 3, which is nice. There's plenty time to act. The broker should receive through the email or just access our internet site. But usually I respond to the broker and I send this form to the broker.
Okay.
So there's
this is
many
called
options.
a change request and reinvestment form.
Okay. Correct. Somehow, somewhere along the line in the past, 2 slightly different processes have been mangled or bundled up into one application form, just to so we don't have all these forms. We just have 2: new business, and after new business, this is the form that people use for various reasons. The first one is obviously what we hope it will happen after 60 months is the client will reinvest the funds. Obviously, those sections A, B, D, E, H, and so on get filled with a FICA and so on. It's just almost like a new application form, but it will be a new rate, a new period of 5 years. Okay. The second one is to transfer the investment. Sometimes some clients, and I've come across quite a few, have been indebted to either an institution or a relative or a friend or whatever. They borrowed money, and you can transfer it to another taxpayer. Remember, this is a taxpayer product, so it should be a bank deposit, any bank product. Because the report to SARS is via the IT3B that reports the amount of interest gained on the lump sum. So that is one. The capital withdrawal is obviously the first discussion we had. And that is obviously from 100% of the lump sum to whatever you and your client have sort of decided to be, wise and good planning. The transfer of investment and the changes of investor personal details could be from a similar setup, but it's from, let's say, from a husband to a wife, or from a taxpayer to another taxpayer, or the investor itself changed details, such as address or a bank. I think the banking is the next one. So the banking details change happens to be the top of the next column. And often these overlap. You can see a lot of A's, a lot of B's, and so on. The changes of now the next one is quite interesting. If a client, for example, was earning no interest from the lump sum, and the lump sum grew for 5 years, and they look at it and they say, it will be nice to get income from that. And at that new rate applicable, the client can decide to take up to 100% interest on that new rate.
Okay.
So, so it's quite nice. Or the client was getting 80% interest paid out. You wants now 60, or you wants 100%. So you can change on those onto those A, B, E, H, and N. Keep in mind that this is at no cost to the client whatsoever. We don't charge for these. Change your broker details is something like yourself, like you never want to see it yourself, is when the client appoints another brokerage. It does happen. I can't deny that. There are some brokers that fall out of grace or vice versa with their clients. And we have to respect that. And the client's right, or the broker
Yeah.
can say, listen, I don't want to deal with this guy. I don't want to deal with this client. It's just not for me, for example. So, those can be done. And within, I think, I'm under correction here, but I think it's about the 20th of the last month of month 60. If whatever the client wanted to either reinvest or capital withdraw or do anything, to draw the money, but change his or her or its mind, because companies can also invest in a part bond. He says, no, Kevin, we made a mistake. We actually need this income, or we need this lump sum is being served as surety at one of our banks, whatever the setup is. I'm canceling that notification to withdraw. That is the final one there. So this form does quite a bit. There's a lot of instructing. Yeah, in one form, just in one form.
No, I think that thanks for explaining the various what happened. Okay, Tony, I think that in your room it's got the sensor, so maybe if you wave your hand or something like that.
Just excuse me getting up.
Emotion. Yeah, with emotion. There we go.
There you go.
Apologies for that.
I thought
okay.
who's coming to have a look
just for a second we thought there's like load shedding.
Load shedding. Too true.
Yeah. All right. So Tony, thanks for explaining all these various options on this form, and I think that what makes clear with this form is that anyone who is going to fill in this form must read just the first section quite clearly, so that you know which section of the forms you need to complete, instead of leaving out something and then afterwards they will be coming back from the administrator say that you haven't completed this section or that is wrong. So that's important. Just read it and then just make sure you're kind of you check all the sections that are applicable to a specific instruction is completed before you sign and then return to your advisor or to Fedgroup. Okay. So Tony, thanks for unpacking that for those investors who are in that situation. Maybe they're looking at their investment going to mature in the next few months. And I think that's really helpful, because that maybe some investors had been with Fedgroup for many years, but there are investors who have been with this has been their first investment with Fedgroup, and their maturity coming up, and they're just wondering what does this mean. Okay, so that you have explained very nicely here. And Tony, I also have in front of me, I think before we conclude this this session, I also have in front of me this this tax-free the tax-free savings. So I see it's also what Fedgroup offers, and as part of the participation bond. Can you just walk us through it? What's the attraction of putting the money into this tax-free savings product compared to, say, the bank's product or, say, the unit trust type of tax-free savings accounts?
Oh, Kevin, I was really hoping you'd still come and do this little one. It's we call it little because
I can do it. I can certainly.
It's such a wonderful. As you know, the tax-free allowance has not increased for nearly a decade. I think not a decade. I think good 7-8 years. Started at certainly under 36,000 for the tax years. I think it started at 28,000 or 27,000. It went up once to 32, and then again I think to 36. A bit cloudy my memory on that, but it's basically it's a part of the participation or the security investment offering that we are able to have a product off that massive 5.5 billion book. We can put aside a bit of that those funds and allow a rate such as the current rate being 5.5 for an investor that wants to utilize what SARS allows, which is 36,000. Can do it monthly, 3,000 rand a month, or up to 36,000 in a single premium with a minimum again
Yeah.
5,000. It's strange, but it is 5,000 as well. So it's just we compete with the banks favorably. At my
Yeah.
last check with the banks, my own bank, not wanting to mention it, it's the light blue one. I think the rate is 4.8. I'm under
Okay.
correction,
Yeah.
4.8. So
Yeah.
once again, we compete fairly. And remember, these are
Yeah.
interest rate environments are not like general equities out there,
Mm.
other very different products where the
Mm.
volatility and fluctuations can be as much as 10%.
Mm.
We
Sure.
vary often less than a percent between us and the
Mm.
banks, very competitive. But
Yeah.
our 5.5 is very nice. And
Mm.
the access to the lump sum, once again, there's there's a fee disclosure on that minimum disclosure document.
Yeah.
There's no expense ratio, there's no transactional costs, there's no total
Mm.
investment charges, there's no
Yeah.
portfolio fees, absolutely nothing. Same as
Sure.
the main product, which is the part
Mm.
bond, the
Yeah.
security investment over 5 years. But
Mm.
it's just a nice sweetener that brokers love using because a part bond client can easily be directed to a tax-free
Mm. Yeah.
because if you do it, the maximum is a very low 500,000 for your lifetime. You'll get there
Yeah.
within 12, 13 years. Remember, there's
Yeah.
500,000 of inputs.
Mm.
So as you very well know, 36,000 a year, 10 years, you've done 360, a few more years down the road, 14, 15 years, you there, if they
Mm.
don't increase it. So it's something that I believe. I use it. I do it.
Yeah.
We don't get much from the old One Sour Street in Joburg. Now it's different tax offices. We don't get much from them. Now they want to give this to me. I'm taking it. Yeah.
Sure.
So
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
just for the ones that would like to save from $500 a month, put
Yeah.
aside, and the
Yeah.
access to the capital is 5 days.
Mm.
Five,
Mm.
very similar to the unit trust setup. You have
Yeah.
to give it a
Mm.
notice, and 5 days later, you have whatever you decide to take back in your bank account.
Yeah.
It's nice. I mean, I hope that they tenfold that amount one of these days.
Mm.
It's not going to happen, as you know.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. But yeah,
Mm.
it's part of the investment suite that a
Mm.
taxpayer stroke investor
Yeah.
should always look at different components. And you guys are excellent at doing the other type of product that I certainly don't have, that Fedgroup doesn't. But
Yeah.
you so glad that most of you include the part bond, the tax-free, even sometimes our unit trusts. So it's quite nice to have a broker have a multiple focus on the advice, and we just part of the formula. It's just part of
Mm.
the advice. It's just so great to see.
Yeah. So Tony, once the client is started with this tax-free savings account, how can the client check his or her balance? Can he log into the website and check the balance? How would that work?
Not yet, huh? Not yet. It's coming
Okay.
soon. Watch the
But then that's
space.
is that
Yeah.
like the client will get a monthly statement to show
Yes. Very
the
similar to a part
balance
bond.
with
Yeah.
interest and all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very similar to a, but the best thing if a client all of a sudden is putting money over 3 or 4 years into a tax-free and has got a
Mm.
capital purchase that needs, let's say, 80,000, it's just one of the
Yeah.
places to fetch it. It's here. An
Yeah.
email to you in the
Mm.
morning, 5 minutes later to me, and
Yeah.
by the end of the day, you'll know that 5 days later you're going to get paid, or the client is going to get the money.
Right.
So it's that
Okay.
quick, Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Great. Tony, thanks very much for being with us and explaining and giving us the rundown of the maturity and also the tax-free, which I think is can be quite useful for clients who want to invest a small amount and earn that just a bit extra interest rate compared to the bank's tax-free savings product. So that's great. Tony, I'd just like to thank you for being with us, and I'd just like to thank all the audience out there who listened to the message. And if you benefit from this conversation, and if we have answered your questions, please leave your comment in the various platforms, YouTube, Facebook page, and LinkedIn. And if you have any further questions, again, please leave comment and ask these questions. If I see them, then I will ask. I will strive to reply to you. If I can't, then you know that I have a trusted consultant from Fedgroup that can help me to answer whatever questions you have regarding Fedgroup secured investment, the participation bond. Until next time, enjoy your weekend and stay safe and strong. Cheers.